You see a dog across the street. You don't know this dog. You have never met this dog. You have no prior relationship with this dog, no shared history, no mutual friends. And yet, somewhere deep in your body, a primal force awakens. Your hand rises, your fingers curl. Your brain sends one single command: touch the dog. And before you've even processed what's happening, you're crouched on the pavement making a sound you would never make in a professional setting, whispering, "Hi, baby," to a stranger's golden retriever like it's the most natural thing in the world. And the wild part, it is. Because this isn't just you. This isn't just a dog person thing, or a cat person thing, or a I grew up on a farm thing. This is a cross-cultural, deeply neurological, almost embarrassingly universal human behavior. We pet dogs. We pet cats. We pet bunnies, horses, capybaras, the occasional very confused lizard. We reach out to touch fluffy coats, soft ears, warm fur. We see a small creature and our hands just go. Nobody asks them to. They just go, and nobody has ever really sat down and properly explained why. Until now. Let's start with the obvious question. Is it just that animals are cute? Because that feels like the simple answer, right? You see something cute, you want to touch it. Case closed, everybody go home. But here's where it gets interesting. The cute instinct is way more complicated than it looks on the surface. When you see a creature with big round eyes, a small nose, chubby cheeks, and a large forehead relative to the rest of its face, your brain doesn't just produce a vague, pleasant feeling. Your brain enters a very specific neurological state that researchers have been studying seriously for decades. The original theory came from an Austrian ethologist named Konrad Lorenz back in 1943. He called it Kindchenschema, which is German for baby schema. His idea was that certain physical features trigger caregiving instincts in adult humans. Round face, big eyes, small chin, soft features, wobbly, uncoordinated movements. All of these things evolved in human infants specifically to hijack adult brains and make those adults want to protect and nurture the infant. Evolution is not subtle. It basically built a visual exploit directly into your neurological operating system and called it a baby. And Lorenz's observation, which was genuinely ahead of its time, was that these same features, when found in other species, trigger the exact same response. Your brain does not care that the thing in front of you is not your offspring. It does not perform a species check. It sees big round eyes and a small face, and it fires the caregiving circuitry. And suddenly you are experiencing a protective maternal or paternal instinct toward an animal you met 11 seconds ago in a parking lot. What's remarkable is that Lorenz proposed all of this in the 1940s with basically no brain imaging technology. He was just watching people react to things and taking notes. And then decades later, when we actually put people inside fMRI machines and showed them photographs of cute baby animals, he turned out to be essentially correct. The brain lights up in specific identifiable regions. The orbitofrontal cortex, areas linked to reward processing, structures associated with emotional salience and motivation. Looking at a cute animal is not a passive experience. It is a neurological event. Your brain is actively, measurably doing something. It is responding to what it sees the way it responds to things that genuinely matter. Things that are emotionally significant, things worth paying attention to, things worth caring about. And crucially, all of this is happening before you've even touched anything, because touching is a completely different layer on top of all of this. And this is where things get really good. Here's something that doesn't get talked about enough. The human sense of touch is absurdly sophisticated. We tend to think of touch as one sense, but it's actually a collection of different sensory systems running simultaneously. Your skin is covered in many different types of mechanoreceptors, specialized sensory cells that respond to different kinds of physical contact. Some respond to pressure, some to vibration, some to texture changes, some to temperature shifts, and there is one specific type discovered and studied in more depth relatively recently in the context of emotional and social touch called C-tactile afferents. These are nerve fibers that are specifically almost perfectly tuned to a particular kind of gentle, stroking touch. Not firm pressure, not sharp pain, not fast movement. Slow, gentle, soft stroking at a speed of approximately 1 to 10 centimeters per second. And when these fibers are activated, they send signals not just to the somatosensory cortex, the part of your brain that processes where and how you're being touched, but to areas associated with emotion, social bonding, and reward. These fibers essentially exist for the purpose of making gentle touch feel emotionally meaningful. Not just physically registered, but meaningful. And here's the part that connects everything. Running your hand slowly over soft fur activates C-tactile afferents almost perfectly. The texture, The warmth, the gentle resistance, the consistent pressure. It is as if fur was designed to interface with this specific sensory system. Pet a dog, and you are literally triggering a neurological pathway that evolved for social bonding and is now firing because of a Labrador. This is not a metaphor. This is chemistry, specifically oxytocin. Oxytocin, sometimes called the love hormone, though neuroscientists are genuinely a little tired of that reductive label because it does considerably more work than that. Oxytocin is released during positive physical touch. It's released when you hug someone you care about, when you hold a baby, when you engage in physical affection of basically any kind. And multiple well-designed studies have shown that just a few minutes of interacting with a dog, petting it, making eye contact, just being physically close, significantly elevates oxytocin levels in humans. We're talking measurable spikes in blood concentration of a bonding hormone from a few minutes of dog contact. And here's the part that feels almost unfair in how wholesome it is. The oxytocin spikes in the dog too, simultaneously. You are locking eyes with a dog, petting it, and you are both, you and the dog, experiencing the same neurochemical response that bonds parents to children, that bonds partners to each other, that underlies some of the deepest social connections human beings form. You walked up to a stranger's dog on the street and you accidentally fell a little bit in love with it. And so did the dog. And that is not sentimentality. That is biology working exactly as it's supposed to. But let's take a step back because there's another angle here that most people never consider. Why soft things specifically? Why is fur the thing that does this to us and not, say, gravel? Why do we not feel an irresistible urge to pet a brick wall? Why does texture matter so much? Part of the answer lies in tactile memory and early association. Humans, as infants, spend an enormous portion of their early existence in close contact with warm, soft things. Skin, fabric, blankets, other bodies. The association between softness and safety is established extremely early in development, before language, before conscious memory. It gets coded into your nervous system as a baseline. Soft things equal safety. Soft things equal closeness. Soft things equal comfort. And this association persists throughout your entire life in ways that your conscious mind rarely notices. There's also the temperature element, which is underrated. Fur is warm, and warm things communicate at a very deep neurological level that something is alive. When you place your hand on something warm and slightly yielding, there is an almost immediate reduction in measurable physiological stress markers, heart rate slows slightly, skin conductance drops, cortisol levels begin to decrease. Your autonomic nervous system is recognizing the warmth as the presence of another living body, and it is responding by downregulating your threat response. You are physiologically relaxing. Not because you decided to relax, because your body recognized warmth and went,